それでは皆様お待たせいたしました。ただいまより
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience, and now we'd like to start the feedback session of the Innovative City Brainstorming, and we will ask Ms. Kumi Fujisawa to serve as the moderator. Good afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the breakout session. So together with Professor Takenaka, we'd like to proceed and moderate this part of the meeting. So this is the questionnaire survey that we conducted earlier, and we want you to participate in this questionnaire survey once again. This is the same question. And so the going on to the third question, or second question rather. So your life, do you think your life will be changed because of the fourth industrial revolution? So could you please respond to this question once again? So how about the result? 70% significantly changed, or will be changed to some extent. So almost the same number as so nothing changed as a result of the brainstorming. So what will happen? Well, that means that you have strong conviction. So there are 63% number 1 and 34% number 2, and so there are no change before and after. Almost no change before and after brainstorming. Okay. So the people, well, all these people in the audience have a very strong conviction. And the next question is, do you think fourth industrial revolution has already started? So first of all, we see red, and then. So the initial responders are very positive. Number 1 is the revolution has already started. Number 2, I feel it has started to, it is starting. Number 3 is it is in the distant future. Number 4, no, I'm not feeling that the revolution is underway. So the red used to be 51%. Number 2, 40%. It was 40% previously. Okay. And I don't feel the start of the revolution. So it is a little lower than before the brainstorming. So people start to feel that the industrial revolution is about to start or starting. And the next question, number 3. Well, the technological engagement by Japan is sufficient or not? So please move on to question number 3. Do you think efforts made by Japan as a whole is sufficient or not? Okay. So significantly changed from before the brainstorming. Is it changing? So initially, so it was 47%, nearly 50%. Half of the respondents were green. So it is different sector to sector. So this is a comparison before and after the brainstorming. Well, the bottom shows the latest results. As a result of the brainstorming, well, there are more people are convinced that we are late and they are lagging behind. So this is a result of the brainstorming, because we should not be complacent with the current status. So it is good that now we have a keen sense of urgency and the sense that we need to, actually we are lagging behind. So session by session, we would like to welcome comments. So the moderators, we will ask our moderators to wrap up what you discussed and also the major discussion points. First of all, Jimbo-san, can I ask you to summarize what was discussed? Yes, there were many discussion points raised, and I'd like to focus them, classify them into 3 major questions. Number 1, a very big theme or topic was, well, in the new urban infrastructure and social infrastructure, what is the definition of new infrastructure? What is included in that? We need to clarify that. So that was the point raised by the participants. 20th century type the hardware infrastructure. That was mentioned earlier. And what is about to change? we need to fully understand what is changing, what is the nature of the change. And from resource persons, very attractive framework was discussed. And one point interesting was about the 3 layers, social infrastructures. Looking at it, traditional physical, visible, hardware the infrastructure, whose life cycle is about 100 years. That's one layer. And then the community consisting of human beings. That is a variable part of the society or segmented. And also the technology has the shortest life cycle. And these 3 time span are in existence at the same time. And the city envelopes or encompasses all these different layers. So that was a very important, interesting discussion point. And then what is included in that? Of course, there are many points to be discussed. Visible infrastructure, for example, broadband is one. Data center, whether we have a solid data center or sensors, and also authentication system. Do we have that or not? But what is more important is if this is the 4th industrial revolution, community to sustain and support it, how mature the community is, and also how reliable the community is. That's part of the infrastructure. So that's the one major discussion point. Secondly, from resource persons, before that, their community, that means not just the local region, but the state and the nation. So did you refer to broader the entity as community? That's really related to the second point I wanted to talk about. The keyword was community. And in the social infrastructure, it is redefined incessantly, so continuously. That was the important viewpoint. Innovative mind is to be shared, and personal data, or whether this is corporate data or including government data, the data shall be recycled and fed back to the community. That process is important. And of course, there is a divide. And there are people who can catch up with the changes, and the people who are not able to catch up with the changes. There are segmentation of the people. But the V-Cube, Yamashita-san, work lifestyle diversification was mentioned, and it should be promoted. So often we talk about the workers and the total demand, but the people who can work. For example, there are certain people who can work for 3 hours a day, for example, but at a very high performance, high efficiency. That is also important. And also Kudo-san in the architecture, as Yanagawa-sensei mentioned, various the work style change is taking place, and the architecture, the workplace, the public places, and the houses. The spatial definition of these the places are also changing. So that's the second the point about the community. And thirdly, what was enthusiastically discussed was to disclose the personal data, and the reservation about disclosing personal data. That was voiced by many people in the audience from a company point of view, and also users of the big data the point of view. How can we visualize the data? That's quite important to promote innovation. But what shall we do about the handling of the information? And my number system in Japan is half-baked. In Singapore, the participant from Singapore more than 30 years ago. The registration system was introduced in Singapore, and it is generating benefit to the society. So we have to position personal data in a way that the people can feel the benefit out of it. And then that requires strong political leadership. So that was also mentioned during the breakout session. Thank you very much. So much about the community, and also the way we work. Yanagawa-sensei talked about. And as for the personal authentication, that is the area of Sato-san's expertise. So, and I would like to welcome the view from the audience. But the Yanagawa-sensei, could you please wrap up?
We have heard various interesting comments and about the drastic change in work lives from Mr. Hirai. He has spoken about the working space that's going to change dramatically. And from Nakazawa-san, from her experience, she has said that she used to work for a manufacturer, but she has started up a company for electric appliances, and she's the only employee. And this is a new way of working, new style. And also from Mr. Kono, he have spoken about the effort within the Ministry of Industry and Trade, the future vision that was created by the young people within the ministry. On the other hand, what was discussed a lot is the difficulty for a change to actually take place. The work style from the Showa era, how this can be changed, was another focal point. There was one young lady, a university student, who is facing some challenges, and she's confronted by the interviewer about her gender. So the technology changes, and things are supposed to change. There is a potential for change. However, the mindset and the culture of a company and the structure of an organization, the change within that is difficult to come by. And from Professor Yashiro, he has said that the opportunity to exit is needed, and also the companies that are not coping with the change would not survive. That kind of a competition would be required, that the mechanism for exit is also needed. That was a comment raised by Mr. Yashiro. And also, we cannot just let everything to competition. So to manage that, policies are needed. And on the other hand, policy alone cannot change things. And then the top management within a company would need to change the mindset. That's another important area. But looking back, to start with, if you think about the individuals working, if you want to determine the way you want to work, how do you feel about it? The reaction to this is very diverse. There are some people who would welcome that, and some of those who would be very concerned. We cannot decide. There are that kind of people as well. So the mindset there would not bring about a dynamic change in line with the technological innovation. For those people who are happy and excited about changing your own future, that kind of mindset, how we can nurture that, is very important. And it cannot depend only on the mindset. We need to have a mechanism, apparatus to promote that. Thank you very much. To have a mechanism, maybe the democratization of credit is something spoken about Mr. Sato through policies, not just by policies or the mindset, but the users would have to change their mindset.
Thank you very much. This is Sato. In our breakout session, we talked about this sharing economy. Is it just a fad or something that is a big current in society? We talked about it in the beginning, and we agree this is a big current and it is to accelerate. That is what we have shared among ourselves. And then a revolutionary thing or big wave. There is a moment of timing. 2009 and 2010, we have heard this term sharing economy. And then we have, there are two things in the backdrop. iPhone, that 2007, in the past, anytime, anybody, and say anywhere. So in the past, things were just for professionals, but now things have changed for anybody. Smartphone, that with smartphone you can be connected to anybody, anytime. And the second thing is about within the share economy, the matching of supply and demand can be done in real time, so that including dynamic pricing, things can change. And it is very interesting at the same time. But there's when the big gap between supply and demand, that was the Lehman shock that that we have felt. That's my personal opinion. And Takahashi-san, I asked when Uber started. The service itself started in 2010, but the company was made in 2009 in March. And Airbnb also, it was created in 2008 in August. So that was a time that the big current was generated. So we have sorted out the sharing economy, and we talked about sense of trust or credibility issue. And the sharing economy and credit, they are really two sides of the same wheel or the one coin. How you can make use of the credit with somebody that you don't know anything. And that Goma scored the score of 350 to 590. That the scoring system, that the social data or the house data or the educational data, everything is being included, and it has become the social infrastructure in 2 years' time. And are you going to make use of it if it comes into Japan? But at the same time, the sharing economy to be popular, you do need that kind of, say, individual credit system. Who's going to create it? It's going to be created by one company. If it is just one company, there is some, say, power. So there's a gap of credit. So there's that can occur. Therefore, Ishiguro-san has talked about the issue of different companies, reviews and rating and feedback to be collected together, and then look at that and come up with the incentives by different company. Or, for example, Tabelog and Blog and Yahoo, and they get together, and then people can make a decision about one person or the other person, and people can make a judgment. Therefore, sharing and the new system of credibility of individuals can work together as two sides of the coin. And then also company and individual and employment system, or how they should be, that will be affected in the past. Of course, a lot of things can be done on individual basis, and that society will be optimized. That's good, as Yanagawa Sensei, Mr. Yanagawa has said. The people who take part in that kind of new system, or those who want to be part of the community of the company, but there should be something which connect or which bundle the whole community as a whole. Therefore, the company's role can stay, and that should be redefined. Those are things that we discussed about, the sharing economy and the individual sense of trust or the credibility. 2008 and 2009 were very interesting time. As we look back, Bitcoin paper was written in 2007, and that was a time we have seen something was really moving. And I think maybe we can talk about Mr. Hara, can you talk about it? No, Mr. Sato has put together very well, meaning that the Goma scoring we talked about. So what I may say is about how to build the individual, the person-to-person relationship. For example, Uber, that has to be rated for safe driving, and that kind of information has been accumulated. And another thing, like the moralistic thing, mean putting together, sorting out the bicycles properly, or going to the restaurant well or not, who are the good people, and it actually be related to cultural flavor of different countries, or how the national way of culture, that will be maybe affected by the sharing economy. So the national culture can be affected. So that will lead to the role of art in the era of artificial intelligence. Please.
So what kind of discussion did you have? Yes, it was interesting. So initially, thankfully, so the topic of art is usually not incorporated into a discussion like this, so it was quite interesting. So initially, we conducted we used the tool to conduct the questionnaire survey, and the creation by AI and creation by human beings. So do you think that the AI's creation will surpass that of the human beings? And it was 50-50 before the breakout session, and after breakout session, the ratio was the same, 50-50. So during the discussion, we talked about the evaluation of the rating. So first of all, as Matsuo Sensei, Mr. Matsuo explained by showing some slides, he talked about the rating or the evaluation. For somebody, draws a picture, and then we may be able to make it look like the bango work. So the digitization, evaluation. If that is possible, we talked about motivation behind the human creativity and the people's willingness to create art and be creative. That is affected by the evaluation of the time, and as the Sato-san was also there. So externally, how is it rated and evaluated? And that is the point where art and economy can be related. And the Sputnik-san also mentioned that there was a incense. That is a traditional way that the Japanese people enjoyed the incense by burning wood, and the wood used for the art of fragrance. It is the type of wood that is old, 150 years old. But artificially, in Asian countries, they plant trees to create the fragrant the wood for the art of fragrance. And the Okamoto Sensei was also there, and during the session. So when the artificial work becomes art, and until when it remains the artificial creation, or the creation from the people who is full of flesh and blood. What is supposed to be art? So on experimental basis, we divided the members into 4 groups, and we conducted a very intensive discussion, and then we came back into one group, one session. And we were not able to come up with any conclusion, but the impression is that the art is extremely complex system, closely intertwined with the human beings. It is expression by human beings. And now the AI of today is able to exceed the creativity of human beings. Including my own position, probably AI will not be able to exceed us. However, the question mark is where is the demarcation between design and art? And when it comes to design, it can be handled by AI, but art is more subjectively evaluated. Design may be able to be created and handled by AI more effectively as compared to art. And another discussion point raised during the discussion is the definition of art may change over time. Actually, by media. For example, Newsweek turned from black and white to color, and then the artists, the painting and the drawing became color as well. Francis Bacon, for example, looked just like the picture. So depending upon the time and the art and the technology, the definition changes. So the last point we came to was that as time passes, the art changes, and because art reflects the complex system of human beings, and art is expected to evolve and change as well. Thank you very much. So initially, Matsuo Sensei, Mr. Matsuo participated and he presented the artificial intelligence, and that is the changes taking place on the 2-dimensional, so 3-dimensional 3 dimensions. So Matsuo Sensei, what was your impression? So the artificial intelligence, it can judge clearly. This is what AI can do. This is not AI can do. But when it turns to art theory, that is an area that is not suitable to me. So any new discoveries, for example, any discussion that you wanted to deepen? But well, the human beings and the story of the humans, I think that is the backdrop of the art. So can AI emulate that? And also how much value can be created by AI, that is a totally different discussion. And I don't think AI can create something totally new from scratch. So, of course, it is expected to evolve, but still, that difference will not disappear.
していただいたんですけれども、
Thank you very much for all the comments. And since all of you have participated, and this is a wrap-up session, so if you have any additional comments or any varying comments, please feel free to speak up from each session. Please wait for the microphone. If there's anybody else, we'll pass the microphone over to you. Okay, we'll begin with you. About the fourth revolution, industrial revolution, the question around that. The first initial question, what is the fourth industrial revolution? When we talk about industrial revolution, it's like the steam engine. It's something that did not exist. And also electricity is something that has changed the world entirely. And the computer has emerged and things have changed. The internet was brought about, things have changed. But in the past few years, what has brought the change of a revolution in the past few years? The key, I think, could be AI. It was during 1950s when computers was born. We have always had AI, and AlphaGo was something that has drawn a lot of attention. And a few years before that, in shogi they had one, and in chess and in Othello, checker, AI had been used in every stage, and it has evolved throughout. On the other hand, there has been booms. The researchers of AIs have made a progress step by step. However, the society surrounding it was not the same. The first AI was born in 1950s. Its computational capacity and its functions, they have said that it would exceed the humans, and they have said that law is needed. And in 1980s, we have seen the second boom of AI and 1980s, and a lot of budget was allocated to AI development. You remember that, don't you? That was in 1980s. However, there is excessive expectation placed on AI. And when you think about AI, like Professor Matsuo had said, like image processing and automated translation of voice recognition, it could be like a smart software. People have called that AI on the one hand. On the other hand, AI could become something more personal, something defined by a person beyond what has been defined, and that definition itself may be changed entirely, and people are beginning to think that it may have emotions and it may control the humans, and people mingle all of those discussions, the topics all together. There's no clear distinction. As a result of that, there is excessive expectation, and based on that, people would want to get more budget allocated. And it is certain that this boom would also fade away, and in a few years' time, this may fade away. So it's every 30 years there's this boom and bust. So 30 years is one generation. So if you forget about the past, the boom would come back once again. Thank you very much, Mr. Professor Matsuo. You are an expert on this. If you could comment on this.
Yes, basically what you said is really true. But when I do not want to use AI, so I say deep learning, that is the most different thing from the past, and it will be industrialized. And then afterwards, there will be a continuous innovation to come, one after the other. But when you talk about AI in a vague way, IT, in the traditional IT, can be said, using the word AI and making it bigger than what it is. So we really have to be careful in using that term AI. Thank you very much. From the policy point of view, as I said, AI and robotics and IoT and big data, they all have to be combined to come up with a new phenomena, various phenomena. But when you look into more deeply, that is essential discussion, as Mr. Matsuo has said. Therefore, we'd like to ask you, 4% or 5% of people said that the fourth industrial revolution does not necessarily bring change in our life. So that's a very important thing. So anybody who has answered in that manner, can you say something about it? Not to AI does not necessarily bring any change too much. Yes, 4% or 5% of you said not much change. Maybe one or two persons. Those who said that not much change to come. Those of you who answered that way, can you make a comment here?
どうしよう。
Yes, back there, at the very back of the room. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. If you could state your name, we appreciate it very much. My name is Nakazawa. So the fourth industrial revolution, and I said I will not be changed, and I participated in the breakout session on the city and infrastructure. Well, the city infrastructure will not change in the time span of 40 to 50 years, and when people say the lifestyle is changed, well, despite of that, the city itself doesn't change very frequently. So even if we have a more broader virtual world through industrial revolution, how much does it impact the real world? For example, robots. Well, they are introducing robots to the city, and city itself can change so quickly. Even if it does, well, the world in front of us may not change so significantly. Well, the smartphones has become so prevalent, and everybody is touching the smartphones. But does that change the true nature of human beings? I don't think so. So even if the progress of the fourth industrial revolution, well, everybody continue wearing the jeans. So not much change. Thank you very much. So the first breakout session is about the social infrastructure, and mindset change was also mentioned earlier. So two of you, could you please make comment on that point? Yes, you're right. So the city, particularly hard infrastructure point of view, well, there are tens of years and hundreds of years, there is a foundation of the city, and that is the reason why cities have their own characteristics and features, attractiveness. But the Tokyo 30 years ago and the Tokyo today, well, there are some areas where, well, nothing has changed, and the area that has changed significantly, well, the residential area, for example, and also the family structure, well, how the communication among the family members changed because of the layout change within the house, and also the low birth rate, the resultant low birth rate. So that is the impact that we felt at the household level in the past dozens of years. And then the internet, when internet comes into the family and the lifestyle, the life choice will be affected. What do they feel as important the use of time that has changed. So in terms of the city infrastructure, well, the city is more well, the long term, well, the foundation, but the technology changes and evolves much more quickly, and both of these different time evolution takes place at the same time in the city. So that is the way we have to look at the city. Yes, please. And the work style, the breakout session also feature that point. So when we look at the way we work, well, the people may feel resistance or the discomfort because of the advent of the technology. Or if the things do not change, then they can feel more stable and the peace of mind. But the mindset is related to the discussion as to how much we should change and how much we should remain unchanged. And another point discussed was, we are talking about whether things will change or not. But the people do not work with a similar mindset. And at the breakout session, well, the comments were made depending upon the different age group. So the managerial people at the higher age bracket, and also new the people who are trying to find a job, the young people, and the people who have just joined the companies or organization, the younger generation, they are different. So we believe that the mindset doesn't change so much. However, well, the people have different aspirations about the place they work for, and so in that sense, the changes may be taking place gradually. If so, such changes, well, the discussion to totally negate or deny that kind of a change is not something we should do. So together with the technological development, we have to also think about the mindset change. And in driving the technological the development, we have to proactively capture the changes of the mindset as well.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. We've only got 8 minutes left. There is one question I'd like to ask. There is a big potential for change, but whether or not we can actually change is another story. We need the political leadership that would play an important role. And as was mentioned, in the developing countries, the leapfrogging, that could be another trigger for that change, kind of a change. In India, the bill was abolished. The 500 rupee bill was abolished, and people can no longer use cash. As a result of that, cashless payment settlement has spread very quickly. And also the other day, when I went to South Africa, a smartphone had been disseminated. It was because of the prepaid system. Normally, the concept of a contract does not exist. In that case, you would say that they want to speak with the mother only for 5 minutes. If the prepaid system is available, they would start to use it all at once. So that was a trigger within South Africa. So as something that would serve as a trigger, I think one would be the political leadership. But could there be something else apart from the political leadership that would trigger a dramatic change instantly? That's very true. In the text of a sharing economy, we have discussed that, and just because it did not exist, it's easier to make something new. That's the thinking of a leapfrogging. If the sharing economy is most advanced, I think it is in China, be it for the house, the ride sharing, the bicycle sharing. On the other hand, most vulnerable would be the credit system within the society. Is this somebody who is trustworthy? Whereas in Japan, such a credit or trustworthiness is something that existed in Japan. And because that did not exist, we've had the scoring. And the GOMA score was created because of that. So the background to leapfrogging, I think that UID is something that was produced in India. That was in 2009. That was the largest, 2009. That's when it began. And Nandaru-san from Infosys has developed that. And if they don't have it, a lot of services cannot be received by having the UID. If you do not have the UID, there will be a left out from various allowances or tax deductions. And there's 1.1 billion people who are signed up for that UID, including the biometrics, the fingerprints, through API and SDK. All of the startup companies can connect to that information, and based on that, various fintech services can be provided. That's what's happening in India, and may not be answering your question directly, but because that did not exist, leapfrog was possible. Whereas in Japan, what is the element that would create a leapfrog? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have enough time to answer that question.
So do we have anybody else to talk about that? Yes. What I'm thinking about is that, like me, the person who makes living by expressing things, during the past 3 years, things are changing for our job. Events that we have done for companies and other things, but now there are things that the arts type people are being called upon to take part in projects and those things. For example, the cultural facilities where we are to set up the place for expressing things. That is sort of common to humans, values is one. But as one artist, from my point of view, Japanese art industry is something like searching for KPI. But we should be more free looking at the cultural, say, facilities and those things. We shouldn't be really restricted in that kind of facilities. We should be free out of museums, out of galleries, out of facilities. Like in the morning, we talked about Shintora Dori or Shintora Avenue. That can be a place that we can express ourselves as artists. So for myself, within the industry, against the culture, we should contribute properly. Maybe that's a system being led by public, meaning government or private sector. Unless we have that kind of system, looking at Japan from outside, expression, arts, design, and those things. We have the craftsmanship. We have the rich, say, tradition here in Japan, but they are not necessarily well utilized. Cool Japan is one, but we have to introduce that kind of rich heritage that we have to outside of Japan, and then we can have a leapfrog, say, advancement in that kind of area. Yes, we talked about the credit scoring system. I think that is important. We have to visualize those things. In the past, in Japan, we were in a group or in a company. It was really something implicit intelligence that we have known, we have had. So we have to change from there. And one thing that I think is that the side business that people should be allowed to do. What is most, say, problematic in the way of work style is that people tend to hold on to organizations, companies. They want to be part of the organization. They are feeling so anxious about going out of the organization. And if people try to cling to organizations, that's negative. How can we change? People should think we don't have to be as part of the organization. We can live outside, meaning that as long as the employment fluidity becomes more, say, rampant, then it's good, and you can go out and work not in this organization or current organization or current entity. You can go out and work. Then people feel that they can go out, and then you have to take risks. We do hope that people can take risks, but people feel hesitant about it. But so if people can be allowed to take side businesses, meaning doing some venture business activities while staying as part of the organization. It may be an extreme opinion, but we are all doing side business, not just doing just one work. Well, thank you very much for your contribution, this kind of brainstorming. Professor Takenaka wanted to do something different from any other say, organization. So it is a wrap-up, but we don't wrap things up because it's impossible to wrap or summarize what we have been doing. And I do hope that you will find something valuable from what we have discussed. We have done a lot of challenging activity. We are using the Google's Jimbo, and then it's a real-time displaying what's being drawn, of what being collected, and something that you have missed or you felt that you have not remembered. Please take a look at them. And many students in their early 20s are now taking part as secretariat. So those young people are taking part, and those people, maybe some of them will have taken some pictures or some come up with some comics or drawings and then to sort of some summarization. So, Professor Takenaka, please.
フォーラム
So innovative city forum itself has to remain innovative and innovate ourselves. So we started this kind of session last time, and we invited wonderful participants, and we have been able to have a very good and stimulative discussion. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, and ladies and gentlemen, please give big hands to all the participants.